I want to talk to you guys about the master numbers. I've been working on my numerology course and I'm really excited to be rolling it out soon. I dropped one video on the number 26. I know that this is kind of random, but these are the numbers that I vibrate the most to, and these are the numbers that I feel the most connected in bringing out their message. And so this is what I do is pull from my own internal calling. And so I wanted to share with you guys why the master numbers are so important, and where the confusion can be with them, because a lot of people don't understand the frequencies and why they are. So this video is an introduction to my concepts of the master numbers, and definitely check out the number 26, because that's also going to give you insight into how I do astrology, how I do numerology. But you know how I do astrology too, how I mix in the astrology and the numerology, and how the numbers are powerfully moving in your everyday life. So let's look at 11. Master number 11 to me is the hardest karmic number. The reason that it is because it's the closest to the all, right? The further that you move away in quantity and in fractions, the more that you become less than whole, right? But the closer that you are to zero, the closer that you are to one or zero, is where you find the most difficulty. And that's why Master 11 is, to me, the hardest karmic number. And if you've ever met people who have Master 11, you may find that they represent trials and tribulations. This is not to have a lot of fear based around it, but the issue with Master 11, why it's such a difficult karmic number, it's not because it's like, you know, forever to be this way, but people do not understand frequencies and energies. So people who come with Master 11 aren't nurtured in the way that they need. If we had a society where we understood frequencies, numbers, and astrology, then you would be able to differentiate people based off of their numerology frequencies and be able to help them in ways that we just don't do right now, because in society we move as a one size fits all. And this is the karma that comes with Master 11 that we have seen. If you've seen the symbology of 11, it quite often represents opposition, the angel and the devil. It represents two polarities. It represents things falling apart. And this is because society has not been able to nurture 11 in its most divine frequency, which is the number 2. And this is because there's a rule in numerology that you can't break down the dual numbers down to their singular form, but you can. And when you do with Master 11, you see that's the number 2, which is the number of nurture. So you find that people who have Master 11 are treated like they are supposed to be like super independent. People put them out, out into the world too early. People don't care as much about them. They just don't, because the energy that exudes from Master 11 quite often feels independent. It's that one in one energy. It's that fire twin flame energy that they possess. And yet they are the ones who probably the most sensitive, can be the most sensitive, the most, hurt in a lot of occasions because of the energy that comes with 11. Kevin Jones, good. I like your message. I agree too. Okay, so 11 carries a lot of karmic issues right now, and because of that, you'll find that some of them aren't able to recover from the things that they deal with. So if you are a Master 11 or know a Master 11, the biggest message that I would say is to understand their need for nurture and their need for care, and they all have a different way that they will show you what they need. This may be something that you could find more in their astrology. This is something that you could just have a conversation with them with. But this is one of the missing antidotes to Master 11. They have vision and they have leadership in ways that people aren't able to comprehend. They are channelers and receivers of downloads. Because of the polarity, they can see things from different sides. They can see things from different ends. They can easily be swayed because of that. Sometimes they sway like the two. But they truly are really just exhibiting the fact that we are kind of imprisoned by the body and imprisoned by people's putting you in a box. And so if you choose one side today and choose another side tomorrow, quite often people feel that's finicky. You know, people feel that that's not you being your true self or whatever, because we're so tied to the body, right? And Master 11 is dealing with that issue because they move between polarities, you know. And if you understand the moon, you understand that the moon is ever moving as well. So there's a level of nature that is ever changing, ever moving, that the Master 11 exhibits. And so sometimes people could feel like, wow, they were my enemy yesterday and they're my friend today. You could have experiences with 11 like that. Or it could be like, you know, I saw they had an extreme perspective on something one day and the extreme perspective of something the other. Or they're dressed differently one day and they're completely different the other. These are the ever changing natures of Master 11 that we quite often don't recognize. Thank you so much. So, 11s are also leaders and they're capable of being people that you really want to follow. But quite often they can be underestimated, like the fours. They can be, you know, undermined. People don't really give them their credit where credit is due. The more that you get into quantity and you get into, especially past 5 and 6, that's where you start to get like social acclaim and recognition. But that's what's interesting about 33. When you get to 33, you see that you finally get social accolades, right? And this is because 33 is laced in things that will help you do that. But at 11 and 22, you find that they struggle hard and have to work hard for success. And this is, again, just a karmic issue because of the misunderstanding of their energies. And if we understood their energies more, we would be able to help these energies embody their manifestations faster. So moving to the 22 is naturally broken down to the 4. Okay, so what ends up happening here is that this is a visionary that manifests, is like a master builder, is what they call it, right? But the issue with it is that this number as well is connected to the moon. So 11 and 22 are both divinely connected to the moon, and they're both quite sensitive in their nature. The 22 is the double sensitivity, it's the double twos. It also represents 2020, like having a vision, like when they say 2020 vision. When you understand 22, okay, so here's the thing. When you hear 22, when you hear master builder, this number quite often will result in trying to build through a masculine way only. Okay, and so this becomes a number of effort and it starts to become really hard work. The number 22 is connected to focus, right? And so when we hear the word focus, we think of more masculine energy of focus, which you can exhibit with the 22. But what is often lost with the 22, the missing mystery of it, is that concept of 2020 vision. That if you have foresight into seeing, foresight, 22 is broken down to 4. When you have the foresight to see what it is that you are building, things start to build for you. You don't have to do it all by yourself with your two hands. So this is also a conversation on why you don't break down the master numbers, because sometimes when they break down to their singularities, that's their home, and home is comfortable for them versus them expanding to their master level. So 11, we need to understand they need nurture. But if the 11 stays at the moon energy all the time, they become constantly swaying back and forth. And that inconsistency can bring issues in manifestation. If you're inconsistent, you can't manifest consistently. And that's the issue with 11. Now, with 22, the issue is that the focus becomes more masculine. They fall back into the 4, which is where they're most comfortable, and they work on a methodical level. They work diligently at placing each brick down as it does, which the 4 does great, but the 22 is the concept of focus on a feminine level, not just masculine. So you bring in the feminine energy. Why do I say it's feminine? Because it's two doubled. So now you need to have a different type of vision. It's a vision of prophecy, of profession, of saying it's crazy how when you use the words differently, because profession also means like your career, but when you look at 22, it's I profess that I am creating and building this thing. The master 22 is able to have a vision. And so if you can see it in your head and in your imagination, you can manifest it as well into the world. And it doesn't just have to be by your own two hands. I mean, your own two hands have a very important part with the 22-4, but there's this concept that you can't do it by yourself, which is the Uranus energy that also comes with the 22-4. And we can use that in seeing that if I have the vision and I operate at the frequency of knowing what I want, then everything kind of falls into place together because I'm manifesting through the imagination and knowing what I want. So it's a focus that is more feminine based that we often miss with the 22. Okay. Now, there's a reason why the 33 becomes the best manifester so far in life. And that's because in society, the 33 works very well because it is connected to Venus and Jupiter. And Venus and Jupiter represent the beneficiaries of life. Venus is the money, the beauty, the accolades. Jupiter is the fortune, right? So when you have 33, you get these two combinations. You get Venus and you get Jupiter through the 3. So together they create harmonious partnerships through pleasing one another, the will to please one another, and also the need to love yourself and to self pamper and self care, which creates this, almost ambiance of attraction. So the 33 becomes a great teacher through this experience of self realization that they possess. And so the 33 is probably where you find the karma to start to shift. Um, when you start to move into 44, it comes back again because of just the rules and how they break the evens versus like the 2, 4, and 6 is different. 2, 4, 6, and 8 is a different frequency than 3, 6, and 9. And yet they work well together, but their separate frequencies are very different. It's the difference between looking at something and understanding it, disassembling it, and breaking down, and like just knowing that everything's going to work well for you. The 3, 6, and 9 is on the level of positivity and highly ancient magical capabilities. And the 5 is also a part of that. So the odds become something that are like beautiful tools where the evenness is about being on earth and the dealing with the limitations of things. The even numbers are about dealing with our karmas and how cause and effect happen. And so this is why the numbers and how they double start to have these effects, these different experiences. And the 33 has just worked very well because it brings the odds into even, right? When you break 33 down, it becomes 6. So 33 helps karma. It's like it makes karma beautiful. It brings that cause and effect back, in which if I give out beauty, I receive beauty, and that teaching and that knowledge comes through the 33. It is the most beautiful that has been manifested in life because it's the easiest one to manifest in life. When you can vibrate at that frequency also is capable of remaining consistent when it knows what it wants, and it just keeps feeding love, like feeding love in whatever it does and whatever it becomes. So the 33 is probably right now the most beneficiary master number. That's because we know what to do with 33s and we honor and value 33 in our society. We honor Venus, beauty, and money in society. And we honor things like gambling and luck and things like that in society. So when we look at 11 again and 22, the reason that these two have difficulty in karma in society is because we have not been in enough even number energy to really understand what it takes to help the 11 and 22 manifest and be a highly beneficiary karmic master number, like the 33. So being in the 2000s, being in 2020 specifically, this is why my numerology conversations aren't just about your atypical numerology. I'm actually inspired by the energies we're in. So the energies we're in is that 2020 energy, that 2 energy, that master 11s and master 22s experience. So this feeling of things falling and falling apart and disassembling, that overall feeling that the globe is going through a karmic level, is the feeling that most master 11s and 22s carry with them. So in understanding this, we can start to shift in society and understanding that moon energy, the moon's energy, is a very integral energy to value. And I think that it will start to come to show that. And so that's what this numerology conversation is really inspired by, is understanding that we're about to move into 2022, and that master number energy is taking a double, it's doubling on itself. So everything that you saw in 2020 now doubles on itself. And it's just a conversation that I feel like needs to be had on a numerological and spiritual level. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.